the agenda, minutes of the last meeting. Been moved. Seconded. Thank you. All in favour, please show. Thank you. Item 2, apologies received from the town clerk.
Mayor, we have apologies from Councillor Brooks, Esker, Saxon, and Councillor Zen said that he would be
Thank you. Item 3, fair interest, declared declarations of interest.
Yeah, just like my situation that this town has just put me as a member on the grant panel, which on that panel, at meetings, we're allowed to be part of any discussion, but don't take part in any votes. And I think what I can see tonight in this meeting, and as you see, an open line on the agenda item.
Item 4 on the agenda, public participation. Residents of Skegness are invited to speak on any questions in the agenda, any item on the agenda. If you wish to speak, you need to announce your name and the number of the agenda, please.
Bob Walker with Propane. I have 2 questions on the agenda. One, as I debate motion 1, very nice, so we're looking at doing something for the case coronation. What I'm hoping that the group that you're going to be forming will include people like the Royal British Legion, the Skegness Chamber of Commerce, plus other interested parties, not just the councillors accordingly. And the second question is related to number 16, and basically I would like to say that I hope that this council will use the money from the Coffee Dancer account, which is about 82,000 quid, to keep the precept down, unlike LCC and put it into reserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak?
I need to try and respond to that specific question because the budget itself will be in Friday session. In response to that, you're looking at a bank account that is simply used to collect car payments. It isn't actually, we've called it that just for the purposes of administration. It isn't actually the Cafe Downtown account at all. It is just where payments that go into the council via card go. So it isn't separate from any other part of the council's accounts.
So bottom line is today, what knock is why call the Coffee Dancer account? Surely it should be called some other name accordingly, not the Coffee Dancer, because according to the way everybody reads, that all this money, there was originally 160,000 quid in it, 83,000 was then taken off and put into reserves earlier in the year, but there's still 82,000 left. Now surely, as far as I'm concerned, when it says Coffee Dancer, that means it's something from the coffee.
But it is for administration purposes and not for any other reason.
It doesn't make sensible sense.
Oh, we will discuss that at a later date. Thank you. Any other items to be discussed?
I was going to raise something previously, but with the Torah of the meeting previously, I would want to raise the issue about Hawthorne medical practice and the issues. I know
it's not on the agenda.
I know
it's only 4 items on the agenda, as you know.
I know, but I'm going to submit a motion, and hopefully council will support me on behalf of Skegness residents, because I think we need to look at it seriously.
Okay, well, support. Well, get a motion in. We've got a second.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it then. Okay, right, I'm going to move on to item 5 on the agenda. Town Mayor's announcements and correspondence. Details are available on the website and Twitter. Okay?
Now, can I just make a comment? We had a previous member of staff has died, unfortunately. As a result of that, I've allowed those members of staff who work very closely with me to go to the funeral, but that does mean that Cafe Hansan will be shut on Wednesday the 30th. It's a sad situation.
Schedule of payments for item 6, schedule of payments for approval.
I'm happy to second it.
Thank you. All in favour, please show. Thank you. Item 7 on the agenda, management meeting minutes and planning committee. Comments?
I'd like to make some
Second.
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you. Proposed and seconded, we move. All in favour, please show. Thank you. Motions. Motion 1. Councillor Dunn, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, motion tonight, I'd like to propose that this council set up a working group to discuss what the council will be doing for the King's Coronation, which is due to happen next year on Saturday the 6th of May 2023. I thought that the working group will be a Zoom meeting or a meeting out of the council in the evening during the winter months, both will allow attendance and commitment to a group to start with immediate effect. First meeting next week and start will not require any officer time. The working group will liaise with officers, and when required to bring proposals back to the council in the field of meeting, this council will be an event and will need officer time to complete all the paperwork. The minutes of the meeting will be used as evidence to set out and produce the outcome of the King's Coronation. This group will be finished by the end of March. I'd also like to take the residents, Skegness, Mr. Bob Walker as well. Of course, they do want to involve other people. This is going to be a town event and people do want to be a part of it. So that's my motion. Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Cunnington.
One, second that motion. It is what it says. We've got a flat last year as council because we're going to do it in the Queen. This motion was actually put out there that we do actually give her these things. And we're only usually asked to do something and we'll try to sort it.
Okay, there is an events team already in place. Do you want us to carry on with that events team?
That was excellent speech, apparently. Yes, if you wouldn't mind, anybody else wants to join the working group, then feel free. There's a working group, but we can work on that one. If you want to have some members, feel free.
Yeah, I'd like to support this motion because you know me, I like events, so I get the TV and all the pies. Yes, we do have a working bench group still active, I think. Steve? Yeah, please resurrected, but we do need, obviously, a few more people on it. Thank you.
Councillor Kerr.
Yeah, I'm absolutely happy to support this one wholeheartedly. Just a query with regards to procedure. Would this not be more of a task and finish group with it being a single activity?
Councillor Redden.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. But I was on the assumption that once we got the events completed, that would run whatever event was on. We then have to resetting up events or committees that we've already got on.
The difficulty with a committee is opposed there is an event working group. A committee, you have to have formal agendas that are allowed there and you have to meet in together. You can't use the committee. And the committee was put to sort of put on hold until I think the DEA 2025, but the working group that looked at the Queen's Jubilee that could be resurrected, and that can be by video conferencing or in the informal way.
Okay, so anybody wants to volunteer to come on to that group? Councillor Cunnington.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask you, I think you were volunteering for the group, can I ask you who's on the group now?
Councillor Burnham, myself, Councillor Dannett. No,
I can come back on that if the others want to go on there.
Councillor Barry and I think Councillor Findlay. Yeah. Councillor Sandra. Yeah.
Yes, I was on it.
Thank you. Okay. You got them down, Mark? You got them? Do you want to do it?
Do you want me to write them?
I thought that's what you were doing.
No, I'm writing you a message.
Okay, it's been proposed and seconded. All in favour? Thank you. Motion to Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion is, as it's laid out in front of you, there is links in the motion to these funds that are possibly available. I believe that all councillors should have a look at these links and see if they can come back with ideas to pass to the clerk so that he can apply for this money if he feels that it's suitable and that we've got a good chance of getting it. But I don't, without any kinds of ideas, I think you can't leave it all to Steve to just come up with all the ideas. I think we as councillors need to have a look at these links, see what we think it would apply to, give it to Steve to have a look at. He can then turn and say, well, you won't get that, or you might get that, and if you do, you do. So this motion is about, and I think we should all support it, and we'll do it in there.
Yeah, happy to second this motion.
Councillor Macy.
All I'd like to say is that I feel it's like that as a working group, to be honest, because I think if we all go away and come up with lots of different ideas, we might not get the quality that we would if perhaps we met together, or even councillors put forward some ideas of what they'd like to see these sort of grants being spent on, so that they can be looked at properly and actually come back with something firm that council can take a decision on. That was my suggestion. I'm happy to support what's being said in the motion, but I think we want to have something more solid.
I think if anybody's looking at it and coming up with ideas, it's really, really important that you actually read not only the criteria, but the application process as well, because that often adds to the criteria. Because quite often the funding is quite restricted in, firstly, who can apply, and secondly, what you can apply for, and also look at what support is needed, because some of them require community input in order to give it weight to your application. So when looking at it, be very careful to look at those details and make sure that what you're putting forward is actually fits in with the criteria.
I would like to agree with Councillor Macy and turn it into a working group. Then, I totally agree. If everyone's coming back, they haven't checked it properly, see if we have a lot more work than what we anticipated. So I think if we can get a little working group together to have a look at these, and then we can have a look and see if it's suitable.
Very good. I'll just go back to you. Sorry.
Yes,
Do you agree with that?
Yes, happy to second.
That's very good. Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, totally agree. Working group should be formed. But I think the town clerk raised an issue about expertise. I mean, we all have some expertise, but this is specialised expertise. And how many times we've heard clerks say, I haven't got the time, which we know our office are busy during running the council. So I'd like to ask the University of Lincoln to see if they have a postgraduate who is studying economic and development, if they are willing to help us, okay, in filling in forms and actually meeting the criteria as the town clerk says. I'm sure there will be some postgrads at the university who would love to do some work and work alongside us in, and help our community, as we are one of the most deprived areas in the kingdom. So I'm sure that would happen. So an approach by yourself or the working group to the University of Lincoln. If not, I'll open the door and talk to the doctor.
Thank you. Councillor Cunnington?
Yeah, what's quickly, what I will say is, I've actually looked at some funding recently and looked through a bit of criteria, and some of it is time sensitive. Some of what's on the paper for me tonight is to be provided early next year. I'm talking February to March. So just really bear in mind it's time sensitive.
Thank you. Right, it's been proposed and seconded and now changed to a working group. All in favour, please show.
With attached,
With
my attachments.
Okay.
Be looked at.
I think in the longer term, Councillor Anderson's proposal could have some merit. My concern would be reflecting on the comments that Councillor Cunnington made is time-wise, because to actually recruit somebody in so that they understand not only what the council wants and can work within the limits of what the council. So, for instance, one of these has 20% match funding. Council hasn't agreed any budget for match funding. I just feel that, given the deadlines, it would be very, very difficult to make that work. To have that person in to do that, because they would have to understand how the council works, what the limitations are in terms of decision making, budget availability, time scales for actually doing stuff. So that may work in the longer term as a way of supporting the council to apply for funding, but I'm not sure it's going to work for these two funds.
Can I come back, Mr.
Yes, please do.
Absolutely. I'm talking about the future. I'm not talking about these two funds in the present. I'm talking about in the years to come. Many local authorities actually use their postgrads who are looking for work, looking to help their community, and I'm sure we can approach even some Skegness. I know some Skegness students at the university who are studying technological development that probably like to do work and work alongside us, not at present, but in the future. We've got to ask.
Yeah. Can we leave that to you then to
Yeah.
just open the door?
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Okay, are we going to set this group up this evening?
You will need to, and it was agreed previously at council that council would also appoint the chair of that meeting, who then becomes responsible for making sure that it actually happens, because some working groups previously have drifted in time in terms of getting the meetings together and then happening.
Councillor Finley?
Just obviously, I just wondered if you'd be notifying the councils that aren't present tonight of what's been passed, so they haven't missed the opportunity to join it if need be.
Well, we'll be in the minutes when they go out. So, who's going to head up this committee? This working group?
Yeah, I can manage the group, yeah.
Yep.
You can chair it.
I don't mind sharing it.
Councillor Grant, thank you. Councillor Cunnington?
I'll go on.
Councillor Anderson? Anybody else?
Four.
Put yourself down.
One more.
Oh, I'm good. I should.
That's fine.
Okay. All in favour then, please show. Thank you. Motion 3. proposer is Councillor Findlay. Seconder is Councillor Cunnington. Councillor Findlay.
Yeah, that all full public council management meetings be voice recorded and recordings are saved and stored in council archives. Once these recordings are stored, then all councillors will be allowed to access the recordings for reference purposes if required. If a councillor then required a reason to access the recordings, this could be done by booking an appointment through the office or request a copy of the recordings to search for themselves, saving the officer's time. I did speak to the clerk on this. If we was to do this, am I right in thinking that it would have to go onto our website?
My suggestion would be that if we're recording something and it's becoming effectively a public document, then it should go onto the website because we put all of our public documents onto the website.
Which then led me to thinking, well, if we spend thousands of pounds every year on IT equipment and software, then maybe it's worth having a discussion about recording it. Easily to do, county council do, it protects us as councillors and it protects you as officers, if it's fully recorded. But obviously there may become a cost of that, but I just thought maybe the amount of software and IT equipment we have got, it could be an easy option. A mobile phone with it, to be fair, so it's not going to be really that much, but...
Right, it was seconded by Councillor Cunnington. Councillor Cunnington.
Yeah, I have to say this, and like the council has stated, we do this at East already. The meetings are actually broadcast live. You can view them any time on the internet, you can use them as reference. I do, I go back through them rather than read them if I need to for anything. And I just think it's useful. It gives transparency as well. I know we've got to consider the cost, so, but yeah,
Councillor Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, we've noted in trade during COVID that there was a significant quantity of public engagement as a consequence of us having our meetings distant and therefore publicly available on YouTube. However, if the council was to host it ourselves, we are looking at significant cost for web hosting, the storage of this, and there are also potential data protection mitigations that we have to check. If we were to use a free, well, when I say a free service like YouTube only it doesn't even make a profit, but it only makes our sort of posting, they would be making a considerable loss on. So I would only support something like that if we were using stuff that didn't physically impact the council's physical budget that year and moving forward. However, it's an incredibly challenging technical feat to have every councillor might for it to be audible, because if there's anything that's not, then that impacts the council's reputation. And also because we have public participation, I don't know if East Lindsey does, forgive me, I'm not an East Lindsey councillor, but that would also have to be factored in to ensure that it's fully inclusive. And we physically just don't have the TV recording studios and the microphones and things like that. So the sentiment of this motion, I absolutely agree, but it's been decades, centuries of recording meetings is the way that we've been presented for decades. I fear that we may be reinventing the wheel and creating more expense and work as a consequence. So I know the purpose and the meaning, and I'm confident that our officers would be willing to go over any records if needed with those councils. I think the systems are already in place to a certain extent. So for that reason, I wouldn't like to promote any duplication of work.
Councillor Anderson.
Totally agree with Councillor Hurd.
We agree on lots of things tonight.
Absolutely. Yes, what concerns me is freedom of information and also GDPR rules. And I think that's got to be seriously looked at, because if somebody asks for freedom of information over what somebody has said, and they haven't given the correct permission, that could be a breach of GDPR rules. And again, that could bring a lot of problems to the town council, to the information officers. I agree with the motion, but I think we need to seriously look at the pathway that actually makes us safe. So the council is saying we may be together, but some people will lift that up and use it against people. That's what happens. Yep. And you will break the GDPR rules. So we've got to be careful, although I totally agree with this, because there's a lot of slander, a lot of liability, lots of issues that are untruths spreading around in a small town.
Councillor Dennis.
Yes, thank you, the Chairman. We do minutes, we pass the minutes, that's what minutes are for. We record as we're recording now to help record the minutes. I don't see any point in this motion. Anybody can come in this chamber and record whatever they like, whenever they like. Nobody stops them. I don't see, to me it's a pointless exercise.
Steve.
I don't think there's a problem from the GDPR point of view in terms of public meeting, because the law allows recording of such a public meeting. And in fact, the council can't do anything other than in its private sessions, when obviously that wouldn't take place. The issue that we have at the moment is we do record a meeting for minute purposes, but that recording isn't really very good. And we found that out when we had a couple of issues over the minutes, and we couldn't get to the bottom of what was actually said. It provides, it's helpful, it records what the mayor says, it records what I've said, and so you can get a good idea of the fact and the minutes from those if we haven't got clarity in the notes. But for recording purposes, we would need a much better recorder than that. Otherwise, it could misrepresent what councillors have said. So it might miss out a comment that a councillor has said, or it might have a lack of clarity over what that councillor has said, and then those sorts of issues which things get misrepresented could then go into the public domain. So we would need a much better recording system than we currently have. But having said that, if it was recorded and in a quality recording, then that recording, there is no legal reason why that recording of the open session of council couldn't just be placed as an audio file on the council's website. That would be a perfectly reasonable thing to do, or it could go to another service, but as Councillor Kirk has said, there may be costs involved with that if you put it through a paid-for service.
Councillor Macy.
I think at this point, if we're going to have to have a look at the pricing it, might be an idea perhaps to go around a bit price and come back and then have a motion. We don't know what it's going to cost. I think it's only right and proper actually in this day and age that it is shared now. I think, as has been alluded to, every single council does this now. But I think we're clutching at straws trying to work out what it might be, and we need to know what impact it's going to have, because of course it will have to go into the budget.
I think the motion can go forward in principle, and then look at the costs. The costs come back and they're exaggerated and you can't afford it. The motion's still there until we can. So if we agree with it tonight, in principle, then there's no reason why it can't go forward.
Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just wondering why planning isn't involved in this as well, because planning meetings are very important, and I think that should be included as well. Thank you.
Well, you've all heard the debate. It's proposed, it's seconded. In favour, please show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in favour. Against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I vote for.
6 against. Okay. So it's passed.
Now it's down to you, Mr. Mayor.
6 against, 7 for.
Oh, 7 for. Oh, sorry, the motion's passed.
Obviously, that's just to clarify, subject to the suitable finances.
Okay, so it's agreed in the principle that we'll do the financial comments. Okay. Item 9, continental market.
wife to declare interest on this. I've only just seen it on there, and the last content on market cost me a month, so yeah, it's financial. So it's easily.
Yes, you like to declare interest.
I'll declare interest on that.
Hasn't done it.
Are you declaring interest as well?
No. We've got this letter in front of us. I'm all for idea we walked down the market last time and noticed a great many shops at the back towards certain stalls and things. I think it was very laid out wrong, from my own personal opinion, but the concern me here, these days, it's peak season for things. I could support this, but not with these days. Now, if this come in front of me to November time, with the continental market, I'd jump for joy in winter months when we've got a bit of festivity going on. But to put this on in August and shut off running around in August, it's just not for me. And I'm sure it's not for many businesses around here, so I won't be supporting this on them days. I just can't do it.
Councillor Anderson?
Totally agree. I think it's a good idea. I'd love to see it happen. But in summer, it needs to be either in the autumn or in the winter period. And I'd love for it to be in Tower Garden. Absolutely love it to be in Tower Garden on the Christmas market.
Councillor Kerr?
Yeah, I think we should thank them for the interest, absolutely. They'll need the football, but I quite agree with Councillor Dunn. Late October, brilliant. Why not? Absolutely. Maybe we should, or the Mayor should write and say, we absolutely do want to grow this. We'd love to have this. Would you consider perhaps doing it in October? Yeah, that would be fantastic. Because when they do it in Boston, in the capital market, it's brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Councillor Cunnington?
Yeah, just a quick one. Agree with everything else, I agree. And certainly with Councillor Anderson, why do we need to go to the extent of road closure and things for it? No. We've got Terra Garden. We've got to just already find out who the drums are through the group of Terra Garden. So why not try to raise it in Terra Garden? Why not the road?
Councillor Edgington?
Yeah, thank you. I think Councillor Dunn made a valuable point in his own comments on this. I think that the gentleman here has said the dates he has available. Well, I think we all agree that those dates are inappropriate along the road. And I think that before we take this any further, if we decide to take it any further, we need to see whether or not he's willing and able to move it back to a date which is more acceptable to Skegness and our traders and so forth. So that's where my stance is.
Thank you. Councillor Edgington?
It's a company looking for a chance to make money, and of course they want fixes. That's why they want good. The more people there is, the more money they can take. It's a business. They're not doing Skegness Town any favours. They're coming in to make some money. So yeah, that's pretty good. So I don't think this is the road off to do. I think this is one that goes on normally happens. I've been after a road closure, isn't it? It's not going to happen. You should.
Councillor Bailey?
I've quite a delivery that's spoken tonight. But you remember, this is a company that want to come to Skegness in August because they know people who are walking down that road. That's what I don't think they'll move the date, but we don't need them in August. If they can happen in November, October, or we're in the season, we don't need them.
Okay.
So, are we saying, Mr. Mayor, that we agree in principle again, but the dates, it has to be in after October, where we have a bit of football?
The one thing that I'm not clear about, and I mean the letters coming on, I had no conversation about it, is what impact that would have on council resources to actually facilitate it. I believe that when they did organise the last one, that they did have some marshalling, that they were involved in what went on the day. I don't know what commitment this actually would pose on the council in terms of, is it just a road closure form, or is it actually getting involved with the road closure, and providing marshalling and other things that might be involved with that?
Councillor Kelly?
Yeah, I thank the clerk for raising that attention. As much as it will benefit some residents, I think an out-of-season continental market is really aimed about footfall and getting and driving footfall to businesses, which is kind of why it was the business improvement district that would have promoted this sort of thing. There's no way this town council should be doing the job of the late business improvement districts. So I would happily, if Councillor Anderson is willing to slightly amend his proposal, that we reply back stating that we agree in principle, however the council, this position, does not wish to take on any financial liability for this sort of activity, and would be willing to reconsider an appropriate date more suitable for the businesses within the town. If he's willing to allow that amendment, then I think that's reasonable.
Before I actually agree to that amendment, I'd like to ask the town clerk some questions. I think what I'm looking at, obviously, is income to the council, because we are putting more and more burden on our council taxpayer in this town. And what we should be looking at is income generation to offset precepts that we ask people to pay. So I'm looking at negotiations with an events, whether it be markets or any events that want to come here, so we gain an income, which we talked about time and time again, and we should put it into action. No excuses, put it into action. Give the town clerk some negotiating rights, let it go away and see what they come back with. About your liability, insurance and everything else, that will be part of the deal. That will be part of the deal. Obviously, and they have a prime location in Town Gardens, which is you can actually direct people to, and they'll disperse into other areas of the town. Until you try it, it'll never succeed. What I get so disappointed with is we're a talking shop with no action. Let's get moving and provide something that our residents want, and something that we can offset precept with.
Councillor Davis?
In my view, it's not our position to support businesses in Scaveness, that's for the businesses in Scaveness to support, not for people who pay for the precepts. If we can make some money, yeah, if we can use Town Gardens, which I very much be after that, I don't know if that's something I'll throw the Town Gardens to say if that's possible. But for me personally, it's not up for the ratepayers of this town to promote businesses. It was a bid's job to do that. The bid's gone. That's finished. If businesses want to promote the town, to bring them more money, then it should be them who does it, not this town council. This town council should be supported, but it shouldn't be at any cost to our residents. That's all I'm saying. Whether we can generate cash, I don't know. We've heard all about this generator cash. I've never seen any, but we've heard all about generating. So let's, if it's possible to put it in the town garden, then we've got an offer. We've got something to offer. I don't know if that will work. I don't know if the covenants were signed and if that's possible to do that. I don't know. But I would just like to say that he's down to the businesses of Scaveness to promote Scaveness business, not our residents.
Thanks for that.
Can I quickly come back? I don't disagree with Councillor Dennis was saying, but businesses provide jobs. That's why we need to work with the businesses so they can we can market Scaveness businesses actually provide employment for our residents.
With 6 hotels for the sites.
Well, yeah, okay, they're making a lot of money, yeah. But that's a different subject, okay? But we should be active in providing jobs for our local economy and good jobs, all year round jobs for our local residents.
Councillor Doyle. If I can ask, before we vote on this, Councillor Anderson is going to, if you're going to put in some dates, some ideas of dates, rather than speak to
Half term.
October, so we're talking October, so...
Yeah.
Mayor, just to respond to the question regarding Tower Gardens, yes, there are problems. There's also law as well about public open space and using that for commercial activity. So I think in something which looks to be a purely commercial venture, I think there would be difficulty in holding that in Tower Gardens. And I think those that have been involved in some of the event organisation previously will know that those issues. So that would be my concern if you're thinking about Tower Gardens. I don't think it would be that easy to do it, or maybe not even possible.
Well, failing that, we can't use Tower Gardens, then somewhere else where it can be held with a road closure, I don't know. But October after, that's what one proposal is.
Right, suppose that we send back a detailed letter to them explaining that October bank holiday would be more favourable to us.
And give the town clerk negotiating power, and to, if we use Tower Gardens, it's their people's and we need to.
Right, okay, are we going to second you for that? You're the second. All in favour of that, please show, thank you. Item 2 on the agenda, tree works, report attached. Item 10 on the agenda, tree works, report attached. Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, I'd like to note the reports. There are some issues that have come to light. I think Councillor Edmonton, you're involved with one of your constituents. It's the Housing Association, Beresford Avenue, where there is some trees, I think they belong to us, that are overgrowing the bungalow, the height of it, the branches are all coming out here, etc. And East Lindsey knew about it years ago and never acted to actually prune these trees. I think you've been around to see it, or one of you? Do you want to speak on it?
Well, simply this, talking about the same location, the trees, those bungalows, bottom of Beresford Avenue, are so close to these mature trees that when they're in full leaf, the overhang casts the properties are in shadow, interferes with the television reception and so on and so on. And I know there was a big problem. There is a lot on.
No, there is only that.
But the fact of the matter is they tried to get the local authority at the time, then responsible, which was the LDC, to cut them back, and they wasn't getting anywhere. Because these trees are so big also, the fact is when you get these high winds, they were stiff. So it's very mature. If they came down, they cut the bungalow in half, basically. Which you could argue that with hindsight, they built them too close to a tree-lined wall, which contained mature trees, which have been there decades.
Yeah, but then you look at Mr. Mayor.
Can I just say, this report is based on the surveys that we've done. We've now covered all of the areas that the council are responsible for in the tree survey. Those tree surveys have identified urgent works, which we've done. They identified these works, which are sort of medium and lower level works that need to be done. And then there are other trees which are just being monitored. We will, the council has a policy on this, we will only act if a tree an arboriculturalist actually tells us that we need to take action on the tree. Now, some of these trees in here are ones that need to be cut back or trimmed, where they're interfering. For example, there's some in Tarragons where they're interfering potentially with the highway. So there are things like that. We don't act in other areas. We constantly, this, you've heard about one area, but we often get issues from residents who are complaining about trees overshadowing or whatever. But many of the trees, certainly in the eastern part of Skegness, have tree preservation orders. And we can only undertake work that is essential, not cosmetically desirable. As I say, the council has a policy, and it will only undertake those works that a arboriculturalist has said we need to do because it's a risk to the council.
Councillor Anderson.
I do believe that, as Councillor Edgington has stated, there are trees now. We were passed off by Eastern District Council. My fear is we have high gale force winds in winter now, over 100 miles an hour. My concern is if those trees actually fall on those old people's bungalows, which are platform housing, where would we be? Where would the liability be regarding those trees if there's a fatality or someone is seriously injured? What I'm saying is, ask horticulturists to go and have a look under health and safety.
They have done. That's exactly what they've done. They've done a risk assessment. So they've done a risk assessment on all of the trees that we cover.
Can I see that then? That risk assessment on what's around those bungalows.
We can certainly provide the information
to the ward councillors and to myself, please.
Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, I didn't we had some problems 2 or 3 years ago. I think the town clerk will remember that the tree came and how long went down? You know, I got a phone call at 10 o'clock. I think the town clerk, every 10 o'clock, turning around how the ground sheet went and sorted it out. You know, I really can't see what's the point of all these servers if we're not going to take any notice of it back to your ward. And to send everybody a piece of paper saying what they say, looking at something that I personally wouldn't understand anyway. If as long as the town clerk has only surveyed and mitigated how risk on their side, I'm happy with that. You know, I don't see why we need to make a drama about million miles per hour winds, councillor, because, you know, that's what we have surveys for, to mitigate what we do, to make sure there's no risk. That's what health and safety is all about. You know, I don't see why you want to use officers' time to sling out bits of paper, but that's what you get.
Can I just come back there? I think it's important because it's been raised by the constituent and the housing association, which is platform housing.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Casey.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope we can only look at what's in front of us today. We've seen the reason why this is on safety grounds. I'll move the recommendations 18, please.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the clerk, because we're supposed to have 3 quotes, and obviously only one has offered the quote. Is it reasonable? Is it a reasonable figure? I know you're not a tree surgeon or an expert in that field, but you have been in contact with Eastlands in their contractors to similar nature. Is that a reasonable figure for the Skegness ratepayers to take?
I think it is. It's similar to other quotes and work that we've had undertaking. This is where some of the trees are, the costs are slightly elevated because vehicular access is difficult, so there's more manpower to be used on that. But I think, based on my own experience of having trees personally cut down, I think that is, for the number of trees that will be trimmed, I think that's reasonable.
Councillor Brooks. Thanks, Mayor. I totally agree with the speakers, and
I know somebody's having some private tree work on at the minute, and I was thinking of asking the clerk for the name and number of bids because it's bigger than this. So I think the price is fairly good. I've seen the people doing surveys on the trees, so I had a chat with one of them, and I think that they did an excellent job, so I would support this and support the price.
Right, section 2 of this report is item 4 on it, the recommendations. It's recommended that the report be noted and the quote is approved and the works are instructed to be completed as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's fine. But, as I said, I'd like to see the report, even though if I don't understand it, I'd like to see it, and I think all councillors would as well.
5 or 6 of that for you. You don't want
Not all councillors.
Okay, so it was proposed and seconded. All in favour, please show. Thank you.